Before you jump into the electric carpool, let's talk about the big issues no one seems to mention.
Now, pay attention.
Now, one of the biggest curveballs electric vehicle ownership throws at you is the unpredictable driving range. Sure, the brochure screams 300 miles on a single charge, or a neat little 500 kilometers, but in the real world, those numbers crumble faster than a cookie in hot tea when the conditions aren't perfect. Take extreme weather, for instance. Whether it's the icy grip of a polar vortex or the blistering wrath of a heat wave, your precious EV range takes a hit, a big one. We're talking a painful 20 to 30% drop in range. Yes, even with all those fancy heat pumps and thermal management systems manufacturers brag about. If your winters involve scraping frost off your eyelashes, prepare for some serious disappointment. But wait, if you're planning a long highway road trip or towing anything heavier than your optimism, your EV range will shrink faster than your patience in traffic. And let's not forget the golden rule of battery health. Never let it fully charge or drain completely. Yeah, manufacturers recommend keeping your battery between 20% and 80%. So, that glorious 300-mile range, you might as well shave off another chunk because, battery life matters. But let's not stop there. This is where the real headache kicks in. Battery degradation.
My phone battery's dead.
Yes, just like your smartphone that barely lasts a day after a year, your EV's battery will degrade over time. On average, most EVs lose 5 to 10% of their capacity in the first 100,000 miles, or 160,000 kilometers for our metric friends. So your shiny new 300-mile range? In a few years, that could be down to around 270 miles. And it only gets worse as time marches on. So, if you're planning to buy an EV, always go for the longest range option possible. Why? Because in the battle of battery degradation, the bigger the buffer, the better your chances of survival. Think of it as buying peace of mind, except the peace is slightly overpriced and the mind is constantly calculating if you'll make it to the next charger. And we haven't even scratched the surface of what's lurking in the shadows of EV ownership. Buckle up, because the next issue, it's even more electrifying. You're driving along, your EV battery creeping closer to zero. No big deal. You pull into a public charger, confident in the glorious future of electric mobility. But wait, what's this? The charger's dead. Completely kaput. And so is your mood. Unfortunately, this isn't a rare glitch. It's practically a rite of passage. Public chargers? They're like vending machines from the 90s. Unpredictable, temperamental, and occasionally eat your money without giving you the Snickers. And if you're thinking, hey, I'll just swipe my card and be on my way, oh, how adorably optimistic of you. Many of these chargers insist you download their proprietary app because nothing says convenience like signing up for a new account on the side of the road. Some apps don't work, some make you feel like you're solving a Rubik's Cube, and some, they just crash. Because why not add a little tech drama to your day? But wait, suppose, by some miracle, the charger actually works and the app doesn't crash. Congratulations! Now get in line because EV charging queues are becoming the new airport security lines. Except there's no fast lane option, and the next charger might be miles away in the middle of nowhere. Ever tried charging a car at a station so far off the grid it feels like you're reenacting Castaway? No Wilson, just your slowly dying battery.
My battery's gonna die.
Now credit where it's due. Tesla's charging network is a shining beacon in this mess. Reliable, widespread, and pretty seamless, but how can we trust the future when the chargers of today can't even handle a Tuesday afternoon?
I'm lost.
We've already talked about how battery degradation is a big ol' headache for electric vehicle owners, but guess what? That's not the only thing you'll need to lose sleep over. So, you thought buying an EV meant waving goodbye to pricey maintenance costs, didn't you? No more oil changes, no more brake pads getting shredded every few thousand miles. Well,
congratulations.
You were wrong!
The reality is, the very tires that keep your shiny, eco-friendly ride on the road are getting a workout. EVs are heavy, heavier than you might think. And those wheels, well, they're not just turning, they're dealing with all that extra weight and the incredible torque that electric engines can throw at them. Translation, tires wear out a whole lot faster. In fact, you're looking at replacing them 2 to 3 times more often than you would with a gas guzzler. That sweet savings on oil changes? Yeah, it's now going straight into your tire budget. But wait, there's more. You thought you'd be living that low-maintenance dream? That your EV would keep you far away from the dealership? Well, think again, my friend. Because now we're heading into repair costs, and spoiler alert, it's not cheap. Hold on to your wallet, because EV servicing isn't exactly a bargain either. Sure, EVs don't have the moving parts of a gas engine, but they come loaded with their own set of headaches, intricate cooling systems, a maze of electronics, and computer modules that seem one glitch away from starting their own rebellion. Oh, and don't forget, they still pack all the fancy bells and whistles, sensors, cameras, touchscreens, and features you didn't even know you paid for. So, when these futuristic machines decide to throw a tantrum, repairing them isn't just tricky, it's downright expensive. And because EVs are still relatively new, there's a serious knowledge gap. Mechanics, they're often scratching their heads like, what's this thing doing again? Now, toss Tesla into the mix, where service centers are rarer than parking spots in a city. Need a repair? Good luck. It might take weeks, a small fortune, and a prayer or two. Now, here's a mystery for you. What happens to your shiny new EV when it hits the awkward teenage years? 12, 15, maybe even 20 years down the road? Nobody really knows. Unlike your trusty gas guzzler, or even hybrids, which have been around long enough to build a reputation, good or bad, EVs are still the new kids on the block. Sure, they look sleek and promise the future, but their long-term reliability, that's a giant question mark. Will they age gracefully, or will they turn into a money pit? Right now, it's anyone's guess. It's like investing in the stock market without knowing if you're buying Apple or Enron. And as these vehicles get older, the unknowns don't just keep mechanics on their toes, they keep owners biting their nails too. So, are you ready to be a guinea pig for the great EV experiment? Stick around, because this is a problem the industry doesn't want to talk about. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room, the EV battery. You know, the thing that powers your car and could potentially cost you an arm and a leg to replace. So far, we haven't seen a flood of EV battery failures, and on the bright side, these cars come with some seriously long warranties. 8 years, sometimes even 10. That sounds reassuring, right? Well, sort of. As great as those warranties are, what happens once they expire? For owners who plan on keeping their EV for the long haul, this is a real concern. And why? Because replacing an EV battery doesn't just hurt your wallet, it might just drain it completely. We're talking prices starting at $10,000, and if you're unlucky, it could go over $20,000. So even if battery failure is rare, the mere idea that your car could be rendered useless after the warranty runs out? Yeah, that's a nightmare most owners can't stomach. And if that battery dies, your car basically becomes a very expensive paperweight, worthless, a sad, expensive relic of the past. That's not exactly the kind of future you want to drive toward, is it? Here's a little surprise for those thinking about flipping their EV down the line. Resale value. While many electric vehicles hold their value decently for the first 3 to 5 years, wait until they hit the 8-year mark. That's when the value starts to plummet faster than a speeding ticket. Why? Well, as cars age, so do their batteries. And let's be honest, the battery is the heart of the EV. Once it starts showing signs of a ticking time bomb, buyers start running for the hills. No one wants to buy an older EV with the potential of a battery failure lurking around the corner. And once that happens, your car goes from a valuable asset to a sad, depreciating hunk of metal that's worth next to nothing. So if you're holding on to your EV past the warranty, hoping to get a good return, think again. The older that battery gets, the less your car will be worth. This is one cold reality you'll want to consider before you sign on the dotted line. Here's another curveball for anyone thinking about going electric: insurance. Your insurance premiums might give your bank account a heart attack. Why? Because while EVs are generally safe and boast top-tier safety ratings, their repair costs are through the roof. If something goes wrong, you're looking at a repair bill that could rival the cost of a small house. So, guess what happens when insurance companies see those sky-high repair costs? They bump up your premiums. And let's face it, most buyers aren't exactly bracing themselves for that kind of financial shock. Let's talk about the real big problem when it comes to electric vehicles: the price. Surprise, surprise, they're expensive. No, seriously, really expensive. And we're not just talking about a little more than a regular car, we're talking about price tags that are comfortably out of reach for most people. It's no secret that EVs haven't quite made their way into the average consumer's budget yet. So while prices of new cars continue to climb year after year, it's anyone's guess when we'll finally see an EV that's actually affordable for the masses. But while price is an issue now, technology is evolving faster than your last smartphone upgrade. In the next decade, or even in the next 5 years, many of these problems might become a thing of the past. Think of it like PCs back in the 90s. Every year, a new model would drop, and it was so much better than the last one, you'd feel stupid for buying one just a few months before. EVs are on that same track. Now, before you think I'm here to trash talk electric cars, let me make this clear. I actually really like some of the EVs on the market today. But if you're looking for something that checks all the boxes without all the compromises I've just listed, maybe you're better off considering a hybrid or plug-in hybrid for now. So, what do you think? Are you ready to take the EV plunge, or will you wait a little longer and buy something else? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and if you found this video interesting, don't forget to like and subscribe.